Now, in Patty Duke's new book is called A Brilliant Madness, she recounts with brutal honesty how the disease nearly killed her, and she offers hope to millions of others with manic depression. Please, a warm welcome for Patty Duke. You should remain standing, I think. Wait. Now, when I met you, I said, I thought you were really tall.
I was.
Oh, you were. How tall aren't you?
I aren't 5 feet.
You just
Actually, just 5 feet and 1/8 of an inch, but I don't usually bother about that.
It's not that important.
And gravity probably has taken that away as well as everything else.
Now, there's so much to talk about, but maybe one of the things we should define for people is exactly what manic depressive illness is. And it happened for you in 1982 when you finally got a diagnosis. So just tell us what it is.
The basic definition, and again, there are all kinds of degrees of this, is violent mood swings from the heights of euphoria to the depth of despair and a whole bunch of stuff in between. There are some who are psychotic during mania, some who are not. There are divisions, and as the years go by, thank God, more and more research and more work in this field is being done, and they're discovering more and more nuances of this illness and other depressive disorders.
There are so many people nowadays that are being diagnosed, and in reading your book, there are so many people that are associated with it that are, one, brilliant and very creative. There were a lot of composers, extraordinarily fine composers.
Yes, and I always wondered how we all knew this since they've been dead for 200 years.
I was going to ask you that.
But that's not my area of expertise. The experts do talk about people like Schumann, and certainly Abraham Lincoln has often been mentioned as having some sort of depressive illness.
Winston Churchill. Ted Turner's on lithium.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Another brother.
Yeah, you see, it's becoming very, this may be the wrong word, but it's almost a chic thing now that you're brilliant and you're creative if you're manic depressive.
Well, see, that's the thing that worries me about that whole concept, the link, as it were, between creativity and mania. Though there are theoreticians whom I respect tremendously who do believe this, I am still a little conservative about what I believe there, because I've known people who are not manic depressive who are extraordinarily creative, and I've known manic depressives who are, forgive me brothers and sisters, but kind of dull.
Not very exciting.
Exactly. So I mean, what's good for one isn't necessarily good for the other, and what's true for one isn't necessarily true for the other. There is this romanticism that goes on about whether or not there's a connection. And that's what worries me, because sometimes people tend not to get the help they need and that they really want because they're afraid they'll lose their creativity.
You were not the first actor in your family. Your brother, when you were a child, had
my brother's an actor.
He had some degree of success, and that's sort of what led you into it, or?
Yes, these people called the Rosses, who eventually became surrogate parents to me, sort of discovered Ray at a boys' club doing a play and invited him to be in show business, and my mother went along with that. And a few years later, they needed a little girl. They were getting lots of calls for, little girl actresses, and they didn't have one, so that's how I got into it. And I really didn't want to do it in the beginning. I wanted to be with my mother.
Your mom
I wanted my mommy.
Yeah, I want my mom, but your mom had some problems. Is your mother has been diagnosed as?
She was diagnosed, actually before I was, as unipolar, meaning she doesn't have the mania. I always tell her, it means she's not as sexy as me. I'm bipolar.
You also said she didn't get the fun part. She just got the depression part.
And yet, when I think about it now, there may have been some mania for my mother. Again, it's really too late to know, and it doesn't really matter. What works for her works for her. But many of the things that my mother did that people have judged her harshly about probably came out of this insecurity born of this chronic depression. And so I've been able to fully forgive those mistakes that were terrible mistakes that she made in giving me up to live with these people.
She did. She gave you up to live with the Rosses, and I suppose part of the point you make is that they may have she may have felt that, look, this is such a great opportunity. If you really love your daughter, you'll give her to us, and we will.
Yes, that was their phrase. If you really love her, you'll let us give her what you cannot. Now, you don't have to be depressed to even, you know, you might just entertain that idea if you're poor.
Yeah, don't have a lot of money. You're the only breadwinner.
Exactly, and you might be able to give this child something that otherwise she could not get. Again, for my taste, that wasn't reason enough.
You wanted
what was
your mom.
reason enough was this woman knew that she was desperately struggling and she wasn't cutting it. And so here was a way to alleviate some of the suffering for her daughter. And unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Now, when the Rosses, when you went to live with them, you stayed overnight, then it was weekends, but eventually you live with them. They become your surrogate parents.
Full time and completely alienated from my family.
I know the thing that stuck out of the line about your mom was they used to let your mom come over to their house to do the laundry?
By hand, mind you, by hand.
Oh.
She was invited over only to do the laundry, and I believe she came there and did that because that was at least her way of getting to see me for a little bit.
Now, the other side, flip side of the coin is the Rosses, although, you know, there's a lot of unkindness here, they helped you become or mold you or...
Absolutely. Again, I think the Rosses had their own problems. I don't know that they were chemical imbalances of the brain as manic depression is, but there was certainly alcohol abuse, which we're now learning is linked to other reasons, and there was prescription drug abuse, and I think that many of the things they did that were unkind were really distortions they started out, I think, with the best of intentions, and things just got all kind of murky and weird and gnarled and distorted.
Your accent, in the book, you say they spent a lot of time changing your voice or your speaking voice, because your speaking voice is excellent.
Thank you.
But what was it before?
I'm often asked if I'm from Canada.
Well,
I find that a high compliment.
so do we. But your voice is so perfectly Canadian, wonderfully trained.
And I used to come from New York, and I talk like this.
Oh, you talk like this all the time till they got you.
And my mother still talks like that.
Oh, sure.
Only she talks louder because she can't hear so well.
The Rosses also gave you a tremendous amount of instruction. That they started this career.
Discipline, things that really, again, in retrospect, I can admire and I know have come to be very useful to me. But some of the things that happened were probably triggers. We don't know for sure.
Right.
But possibly or probably triggers for the chemical imbalance of the brain to kick in to mania and depression.
Well, these people had to be pretty weird, because part of your story, you say you didn't have much of a social life, much of a home life. So on Friday night, you'd go home and go to bed and get up Monday morning?
Well, that should have been a signal. And again, remember, we're also talking 20 years ago. Try 30 years ago. And again, now we would see this as a symptom hopefully, in a teenager. To come home at Friday night, go to bed, and not get up till Monday morning, not even to go to the bathroom, just totally shut down.
Most people would have said, excuse me, is there something wrong here? But
hello, you
hello,
there?
are you in there?
And I suspect that was one of the early depressive cycles happening.
The depressive cycles started, and then it got into mania, which is the other side of this illness. And we'll talk with Patty Duke about that right after this.
I think it was a show called Shindig.
I think it was a show.
That was my hit record.
Oh, there was not just a hit
One
record.
in a row.
There were two. There were two of these amazing albums, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Patty Duke. Yes. If you send in $12.99 immediately, we will rush you your KTEL package of Patty Duke's amazing hits.
This belongs to someone.
It does, to my director, and you signed it.
Oh,
and you
my
said,
goodness.
Look, it says, please don't just stand there, turn off the record. Love Patty.
I was very clever then, wasn't I? Certainly is.
No, I didn't know a lot about your singing career. You did too.
Nor did I.
But your voice sounds pretty good.
Oh, well, sure, you would too. The 47 echo chambers.
47, oh.
Yeah, they used to sort of string the notes together. I thought I could sing, and I wanted to sing.
You wanted to sing.
And as soon as I started, I knew. I just knew. And so I spent 6 albums being mortified.
You did 6 albums?
Uh-huh. I told you I had 1 hit in a row.
Was that your dream? I mean, did you see yourself as a child as a singer? Or?
Oh, I tell you, even now it's my dream. I mean, I know it's a dream. That's the difference.
You
You see, I took my lithium, and I know it's a dream. No, I would, to play on Broadway in a musical, someday, see, I'm going to be so old someday
Right.
that it'll be okay if I don't sound good.
Somebody once said if you stay around long enough, you can do anything. You just live long enough to let you do it. The part of your, we were talking about, the one last thing on the Rosses, and I know that you have really mixed feelings about them, that on the one hand it was terrible, on the other hand you love them. It's a real love-hate relationship, but I didn't know until I was reading an article there was actually sexual abuse involved in this relationship.
Yeah, there was. Now, I watch television too, and I've watched a number of people talk about sexual abuse in their childhood and their teens, and what happened with me was not quite as severe, unless you assume that one time is severe, which I do. Again, I don't know what this is in me, this need to forgive, this need to purge and cleanse. Even though they're dead, I still have that need to sort of say, okay, I understand that if you were in your right minds, you probably wouldn't have done such a thing. That is not to say I excuse it today in living people.
Right.
We've got to get to a point where we can teach people how to take care of themselves so they don't do that. But I do. And I think part of it is very self-serving. I think that in forgiving, I ease my own life. And I feel that I can generate more love.
But they say, Patty, that if something happens to you in life, the last step is forgiveness. You can't carry the hatred or the anger around. You've got the only way you can get rid of it is to forgive.
True,
finally, to
true.
unburden yourself.
And yet it's a tough concept to sell to some folks who have been so desperately hurt.
Oh, yes.
And I understand it, and yet I still believe that in its own time it will come, and it will be very good for those people who need to forgive.
In the book, when you talk about a manic-depressive illness, you say that they talk about in youth, if you have losses, if you have problems, that it kind of sets you up for this. And
If
boy,
you've got the predisposition.
If you have the predisposition and you have the losses, then you get set up. You certainly had all of that going for
They
you.
sort of lined up in a row,
Boy,
didn't
yeah.
they? Like dominoes.
Yeah.
So it was again, retrospect makes you absolutely brilliant. But in looking back, it's very obvious to see now what patterns were happening that led to the predisposition to manic depression to explode.
When you did, when it really started to kick in for you, and here's the part that I found really extraordinary, and I guess it comes from your training, it also speaks very highly of your self-will, that even when you were suffering this incredible depression where you talk about not being able to get out of bed and put shoes on, you couldn't get dressed, but heaven forbid, if you got a job to do something, you showed up and you went to work and did the film or did the stage. I mean, that's unbelievable.
You know, many people have asked me about this, and almost with a kind of, who are we kidding here?
Yeah, did you really do that?
This is simply not possible. I don't know why it was possible, because there was no medication and no diagnosis at this time for me, except the only thing at the moment that I can attribute it to is the discipline that took place with the Rosses and the drive to at least maintain if I couldn't get up from where I was. And so I have no idea why I was able to do it or why it worked. It just did.
The Miracle Worker, and I just saw it recently again, and it's one of the few things, and I think most of us will agree that when you see it, you become transfixed by it. It's such a powerful piece of work that it comes off the screen and grabs you around the throat. Were you suffering even through that with this?
I was not aware of it, certainly then. And in retrospect, again, I think maybe some of this stuff, the sexual abuse and the alcohol and drug stuff with the Rosses had begun by now. But I think that my attachment to Annie Bancroft, the safety net of Helen Keller and Annie Sullivan, and the playing out every night on Broadway of beating the but-you-know-what out of a grown-up was very therapeutic. Again, it's just a guess.
Right.
But otherwise, it would seem to me that the pressure would have forced me to snap sooner.
Anne Bancroft, you two became very close. She was a safety net for you. And you tell me that you met Helen Keller, that you spent some time with her?
I met her twice. I met her, Catherine Cornell, who was her friend, a wonderful actress, arranged for me to meet Helen after the play had opened. She did not come to the play. And I went to her house in Connecticut, and we spent the day together. And she was First of all, she was very tall.
Oh.
See, that's why I'm not tall. She got all the tall. And she was very beautiful. She just glowed. And I don't think it was just me thinking that. She just did. And she was funny. She was fun to be with.
You told me that she could actually speak, and I didn't know that.
She spoke in a voice that she didn't like. She wrote a lot about how she hated her voice. And you and I were wondering, how did she know?
Yeah, she was deaf. How could how did she hate her voice?
She knew. And actually, she was right. It was a very, let me see if I can do it. I could do her as a child, but I am very happy to meet you. She would say, and she knew that however that was coming out, it wasn't coming out the same way you and I are talking now. And she, oh God, that made her mad. But she, of course, didn't need to speak to communicate and wrote many, many books and was an ambassador for the United States to the Orient for many, many years.
The one thing, and she was completely deaf. She was born without sight, without hearing.
No, she was born sighted and hearing.
Oh, okay,
Something strange happened when she was 18 months old. Nobody knows what it was, but something to do with quinine baths and a fever. And both sight and hearing were gone. But she had already heard. See?
Oh, okay, that was it. She'd already heard.
So
she
a lot
didn't
of what she was doing, even at an advanced age, was recalling way back to that time. I mean, the power of the mind is an amazing thing.
We're going to take a break. There's a period of your life where the depression happens, but then there's the other side of it kicks in, the mania side, the side that takes people to, and I don't know if you've ever heard people talk about this, but I've met a few people, and there is a romanticism around this mania, but there is a brilliance to it and a creativity to it that I don't think the rest of us can understand or have experienced. We'll get Patty to explain that right after this. The dog was never seen again besides that?
Just in that little clip. And all these years, nobody's ever asked me, what happened to the dog?
No, I was going to ask you. Okay, Patty, what happened to the dog?
He got a better job. Disney contract.
Disney contract? No, was he the one that went in the Disney thing?
He's one of them, and there were 3 others.
What was that
Lord
show?
Nelson's.
What was it? Shaggy Dog?
Yeah. Shaggy DA, right.
Let's flip back again into this part of your life where you start to go into
before somebody diagnoses us, right?
Before somebody diagnoses. You had these periods, these manic periods, I guess, where they're the extreme highs, and I've heard people talk about it. Francis Lear was here talking about it, and I've heard someone else talk about the brilliance that comes with this.
Well,
how smart were you at this?
I was a genius. I was God. I was above any sort of consequence. Well, there simply were no consequences. I didn't need to sleep and didn't. And this is very, it's really tough for people to grasp, except for other people who have been manic. I would literally not sleep for 2 weeks, 14 days or more at a time. And I don't mean I forgot that I dozed. I mean, there was no sleeping. And when I didn't sleep, nobody else slept either. I would have people on the phone on the East Coast because I was on the West Coast and it was later here, so I could wake them up, and it would go like that for days and days and days. I would spend outrageous amounts of money on things I either already had or didn't need or shouldn't have, and certainly I didn't have any money for them. One of the symptoms that is described in medical textbooks and in this book, flights of fancy, which is a very romantic way to put it. It's really nice. You're out there is what it is. And yes, I thought I was incredibly creative and I was sensing the entire universe and all that was happening for me. The only problem was I couldn't stay still long enough to do anything with that information. So my definition of creativity is you get an idea, you develop it, and you are able to then produce something with that notion. Well, see, I was never able to do that. Some manic-depressives who are manic do.
Like
they
the
really
great
do, like the
composers.
great composers, like some great writers. Some people do. I never did.
couldn't.
Maybe I was waiting for an agent. You know, that's how actors are.
Your manic agent. You did, and I made this comment, you have a terrific sense of humor, and even in the times when you were manic, you did some things which in hindsight are quite humorous. When you won the Emmy...
What's funny about going on the Dick Cavett show and saying you're going to build an ark in the middle of the desert between Barstow and Bakersfield? I find
I don't
nothing.
know. But then when you won the Emmy, and it's a great line, you won the Emmy and you told them that you were going to go back to school to become a psychiatrist.
I did. Oh, I was mad at them, and I was really going to show them. And for about 30 seconds, I entertained the idea after I said it. And then, of course, that never happened. I mean, all sorts of things you never complete. And I say you, and I shouldn't. I mean, I didn't, and many of us don't. But some do.
Because you were a celebrity, two things happen. One, when you have these very bizarre ideas and things, and you start doing these ridiculous things, like you got this thing with safety deposit boxes where you would like put one Kleenex in one safety deposit box, and you had all these banks going, but...
So you really read the book,
well,
didn't you?
I did. I read the book is wonderful to read. But... You were
yes.
Patty Duke, so you could go into all these banks 2 or 3 times.
That's the sadness. But it happens now in the days of credit cards. It can happen with a lot of people. You don't just have to be a celebrity, but you just keep spending. And because I was Patty Duke, it didn't occur to them that I couldn't afford to rent a Lear jet for 3 weeks.
That's right. When you went off to get married for 13 days.
And it didn't occur to me. I mean, that it cost money didn't occur to me. You want a Lear jet, you go get one. That's what you do when you're manic.
When you were also...
And I did marry a stranger.
Yeah, for 13 days?
Yeah.
He was subletting your apartment?
Yes.
And you were pregnant and Catholic? And
Not pregnant.
Not by him,
no.
Well, he was a stranger.
That would have been the easy thing to do.
Excuse me, are you the father? I'm not sure who the father was, and I'm not sure if you say so in the book.
I choose not to.
Okay.
I mean, it's apparent that John Astin and I were together for some time before we were married, so you can fill in the blanks.
Okay.
But it's an issue that is necessary to point out, I suppose, only in that even during that time, during the beginning of that pregnancy, I was not able to be responsible because of the mania. Thank God I came down off that mania. Well, I was helped by a number of people who said, no, you don't have that money. But I did live a responsible, I'd say, from the 4th month of the pregnancy through his birth, and for much time afterwards, I'd hit a level place, which hadn't happened in a very long time. And so, you know, he got, thank God, a pretty healthy beginning. Sadly, after marrying his father, John Astin, after having another child, the cycles became more increased in frequency and intensity. And so those boys did not have a very good life.
No, the boys
They
had
did
a
not have
difficult-
this blessed life one would think the children of a television star would have.
It was interesting because before the show started, you went down the hall to use the washroom, and it went through my mind, I wonder if she's going to close the door. There was it was a terrible thing that your kids you couldn't close the door.
Because of my many suicide attempts and the high drama around them over the course of years, there came a time when I was losing it about something, and I went in the bathroom to kill. It was apparent, it didn't need to be said. I was going to kill myself, and the little kids were on the other side, banging on the door saying, Mommy, Mommy, please, Mommy, please, Mommy, please, Mommy, please don't. Now, I know that there are people who can continue, who are so desperate that they can continue and complete that act. I believe that whatever part of me needed and wanted to survive heard those children and heard that anguish, and I was able to pull myself out of that temporarily. But yeah, for a long time after I was diagnosed, I would leave the bathroom door open so that they wouldn't worry what I was doing in there.
Are the boys, the 2 boys, Sean and Mac, are they, because this is, we think, they're not quite sure about this disease. They think there's some genetic...
Oh no, the genetics
contribution
are
to
real.
it.
The genetic
But we don't know
link
that
is
these
true.
boys are going to have it. I mean,
No,
there is a genetic
it's
link.
a hit and miss proposition.
How are they?
So far, so good, which is very good news because Sean is 21 and Mac is 19, and usually the symptoms are going to show themselves by now. One never really knows. I mean, some people don't have an episode until they're in their late 40s or something. But how they are is they are healing still and very well. And occasionally now in their development, something will crop up that hasn't been resolved between us. And that still continues to be worked on, only without guilt and blame.
Why did all this happen to you?
I don't know.
What do
I
you
don't
What do you
know.
believe about it all? I mean,
Oh, that's a key question. What do I believe?
yeah, is it?
I believe that each of us has a job here. And for some reason, this is part of my job here.
You were given a really tough job.
That's okay. I was also given countless blessings and miracles in my life.
To whom much is given, much is expected, or something. You won the battle, though. I was thinking when I read your book that in 1982, when they diagnosed you and gave you lithium, it would be like starting a new life. I mean, it would be like being born.
Exactly. It was, except you carry this old baggage, see?
Yeah, right.
This debris that you
did I
better,
really do
you
that?
better
Well,
sweep up.
yeah.
But yes, it was a new lease on life. Some of it still had some pain around it because it controls the illness. It doesn't control your personality, and it doesn't control things in the past and things that you need to work out. But certainly, it's 10 years now. I love saying that.
10 years.
Yeah, I love saying that. I love saying it because I know if I had been lying in my bed and this television show was on and I heard someone talking that they'd gone 10 years, I know that it would have given me just the itsy bit more strength I needed to hang in till I got where I was supposed to get. At any rate, these years, I'm married to a wonderful man that I met when he was in the Army.
Good-looking fella.
He's not bad, huh?
Yum.
Yeah. That was a bonus, too, because I really fell in love with who's inside, who's in there. And I just got this pretty package that it came in. We have, as you know, Sean and Mac, and 2 daughters, Raylene and Charlene, who are stepdaughters, actually, but we don't make that distinction in my house. And then we have Kevin, who's 3.5.
Oh, you adopted Kevin.
We adopted Kevin, and I have an ordinary life, meaning I don't have to go off on some journey over here, or I don't have to go to hell to feel that I'm alive, and I get to deal with the same garbage everybody else does every day.
We're going to take a break. If you are one of the people who are out there that is having a hard time, and a great part of the reason, if not the major reason, that Patty wrote the book A Brilliant Madness is that you should know there is some hope.
Indeed. And Gloria Hockman did an extraordinary job of doing the research and the practical answers that are in there.
It's a chapter of story, a chapter of medical information, a story, and it goes out.
And other people's stories. I'm not the only one running around here like this.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we have some questions from the audience for Patty Duke, author of A Brilliant Madness, along with
Gloria Hockman.
Yes. Welcome back. We have some audience questions for you, Patty. Kathleen.
Yes, Patty. Do you feel that your manic-depressive illness influenced your great acting ability in any way?
I don't know. The only sort of piece I've been able to come to about it is that since that was part of me at the time, then it must have had something to do with it. Except that since then, in the last 10 years, I feel that my work has matured and grown. Well, it had to when it goes along with, you know, getting older. But I really do feel that you don't have to be manic to be a brilliant anything. And if you are, and you're getting a little extra bump from it, well, that's very nice, but unfortunately, the other end is coming.
Maybe we could ask you the same question, Kathleen, because Kathleen comes to the show once in a while, and you are an actress.
Well, I'm a very small time actress. I really just started earning my living about 6 years ago. I was a nurse for about 40 years. But in my late 40s, I developed a manic-depressive illness. But like you, I wasn't diagnosed for about 2 years. Most of the medical people said it's the menopause that caused the nervousness and the insomnia.
It's a difficult diagnosis, as you know, difficult diagnosis to make, and then with women's hormonal changes and menopausal changes, it gets really dicey.
How do they make the final diagnosis? Is it a blood test?
Sadly, no. There are no tests. You can't take an MRI of your brain, and there's no blood test. What it is finding a good diagnostician in this field, taking a family history, a case history, and really exploring what the behavior has been, And then the doctor makes the diagnosis, and if he or she begins the person on a medication, it's really, if the medication works, then you know you hit the jackpot.
So it's like a process of elimination.
Exactly.
It isn't this,
There
it
is
isn't
no
that.
exact litmus test for it yet. But I don't doubt that in the next 10 years, something like that's going to come along. It doesn't come along, it gets helped along.
Okay, we have a lot more questions here. Where are you? Oh, there you are.
Do you have any new acting projects in the works?
I do. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I have, I'm in a movie that's coming out called Prelude to a Kiss, and I play the mother of the bride, Meg Ryan. And let's see, and then I start a new job on the other coast in Vancouver 2 days after my son Sean's wedding. I'll be prepared, won't I?
You will be prepared. Now, son Sean just finished starring in a movie that's like a big buffo hit.
Big hit, isn't
Yeah.
that fun?
Encino
Man. Encino Man, I've yet to see it. You know, sort of actors, when they talk among themselves, each one wants to have been in the great piece of art.
Yes,
you know?
right.
And so there gets this little competition going. But he's decided that being in a hit movie and having a little art film out at the same time when the day breaks ain't so bad. And I'm very proud of him. And he's really, the most importantly, is he's a lovely man.
How old is Sean now? He's
21.
21, and the kids are 21 for Sean. Mac is
19. Raylene is 17. Charlene is 15. Kevin is three and a half. And then I have 3 older boys that I adopted, that John Astin brought to that marriage, and they are 31, 30, and 27.
Yeah. There's a part of the book where you write about when things were really tough, when you were traveling around, the two of you, in a house trailer with 5
Oh,
kids.
I wish it was a house trailer. It was a van.
A van.
It was
What
a
is-
club wagon
I was trying to
with no
glamorize it.
toilet.
And one kid in diapers?
Oh, at least one in diapers. The other one saying, it was an accident.
We're going to take a break. We're back, and it won't be by accident, with Patty Duke right after this. We're back with Patty Duke, her new book, A Brilliant Madness, Living with Manic-Depressive Illness. It's Gloria Hockman also wrote every other chapter, and it's an excellent read. Very enjoyable book.
Hi, Patty.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
And you.
I wanted to ask a question about at a time that you were in a manic period, you had an out-of-body experience. Could you please tell us about that?
Yeah. We called it that for lack of a better phrase. I didn't really know what to call it. It was one of those things where I hadn't slept for days, I hadn't eaten, and I felt myself, not the way you read in books about leaving your body, but...
You didn't go see the white light and go through the tunnel or all that?
No. It was a little disappointing, actually. But there
Weren't you
was a
also
sense that it...
making love at the time when you had this? Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa. Whoa.
Anyway, it was simply a sense of not being there, and of knowing for the first time that I had no reason to fear death. I had an obsessive fear of death since childhood on a daily basis that caused me to do a number of not nearly so odd things as in the manias, but still strange behavior. So I felt that I had been given a sign. And as I continued to try and tell this to my then husband, he got frightened. And it was strange behavior. Who wouldn't get frightened? And eventually it wound up that it was chalked up to being a psychotic episode. And I figured if I was smart, I'd better believe that.
But you don't believe that, do you, in your heart of hearts, do you?
No, I don't.
No, you don't. You think you actually, well, you could have had an out-of-body experience. Why not?
I don't know why not.
I mean,
we don't get penalized any further because we're manic depressives. You
Right.
can have spiritual revelations, certainly. But I was afraid to talk about that for many years because I was afraid that I would be judged, that it would lessen the credibility of talking about a healthful life and controlling manic depression. So now, of course, I've gone on to further explore my own needs in the spiritual sense, and I've chosen to believe that whatever it was, for that moment, it helped me not be afraid of dying. And it's taken me a number of years because it didn't last. That feeling didn't last. It took me a number of years to get back to, and this is the first time I've ever said this publicly. It's a very short time now, very recently. I'm no longer afraid of death. I feel quite comfortable. And probably part of that is because I'm no longer afraid of life. And I can live and be free and know that there's something probably really nice waiting over there someday. And I don't have to rush the process.
All this peace and happiness has come to you really not only since 1982 when lithium came into your life, but since you married this wonderful man, and your life has really all sort of come together. And the lady from Idaho.
Yes, I'm the farm lady from Idaho. Yeah, we have, as I said, a magnificently ordinary life that comes with its own real ups and downs, and I have a peace. And I never, ever believed that that was possible. And for that, I don't know that I'd go through it all over again, but I might not mind a little of it.
Okay, we have some more people who want to talk to you, Patty.
Hi, Patty. I'd like to know what kind of relationship do you have with your mother now after everything you've been through?
We have a very close relationship. When I left the Rosses, I tried to reestablish a relationship with my mother, both of us having our illnesses all at the same time. And it took a very long time, but finally it did take place. My mother is 79 yesterday. She's not very well. And again, I feel that I am blessed that there has been a resolution with her, that when it's her turn to pass on, I won't have to grieve any more than anyone else would grieve at that same kind of loss.
Okay, we have one more question before commercial.
Hi, Patty.
Hi.
How are you doing? I was
Good.
wondering if you were going to go back and have a TV show again.
Well, I was wondering the same thing. Every year I wonder, and go down to Los Angeles and I audition, and there's lots of talk, and then it doesn't happen. But again, I've noticed it's been working out fine. I do a few movies of the week a year, which make me very happy, and I get to spend the rest of my time in Idaho.
But if you could have whatever you wanted in television, and they said, okay, Patty, this is it. Tomorrow, what you just, carte blanche, tell us what you want and it's yours, you would say...
You're not going to believe this. I want this show.
You want great. Oh, great. Sure. All right, sure. Why are you applauding?
They're applauding you and them. No, I'm serious. I would
you wore the
love
red
to be
jacket?
able to do what you do. I envy it, the ability to keep things going, but also to really hear what somebody has to say and to give information to people. I would love that.
How does it sound, the Patty Petty Dini Duke show? I don't know, we can work this out. We'll be back with whatever the show is going to be called right after this. Welcome back to the Patty Duke Talk Show. Well, so they thought sounded great.
The Petty and Patty show.
The Petty Patty Show.
Extra with you in Last Wish.
Oh,
You were an extra in Last Wish?
Yes.
Last Wish is the movie that we made here last March.
With Betty Rowland's story?
Yes, about Betty Rowland's story.
mom?
And, oh, God, we had a good time here. I mean, the topic was very intense, but the people were so wonderful.
I cried when I watched it, the movie.
It was
Me
excellent.
too.
Do you know that we're back on air? You didn't know that? Well, we're back on air. We have some other, Jean, you have a question for Patty.
Yes. How do you feel your recent marriage is different from your other ones since you've been diagnosed?
In order to have a marriage, you have to have two people, and I was never present at the other ones. This time I'm able to be a partner, to be a wife. That's about it.
That should do it. You've been married how long now?
Almost 7 years.
Oh, this isn't working? Oh, we could, who else had a question? What was your question?
I just wonder.
You have to yell into my lapel. You yell into my lapel.
I wonder how the support mechanism in around your family and the people that are close to you, how do they feel when you're coming out with all these revelations?
Boy, is that a good one. I think there's a certain amount of discomfort that they felt originally because who wants all your laundry aired? And at the same time, you used a really important word in my family. They are so supportive of me, and they knew, and I'm speaking more about the boys than anybody, they knew that this was important to me and that it was a right and a good thing to do. And so the little things that they'd like to sort of just have a twitch about, they let go by. And I think they've been remarkably generous.
And speaking of the boys, did either Sean or Mac at any time, and I know in the book that they would tease each other. Oh, you're just like Mom, you're having one of those.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, they were constantly saying to Mac in particular, you want your lithium now or later? And it was very difficult, you know, because kids do get worried about stuff like that. I mean, these kids were old enough to understand inherited, genetic, and all that kind of stuff. But really, Mac recognized it more as a fraternal, ugly thing that they do to each other than as a real threat. We've talked about it since, you know. I asked them about, you know, how much do you sleep and what's going on and blah, 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 little things.
Do you worry,
Oh, very subtle questions. Yeah. Mac's feeling is, hey, if it turns out that I am diagnosable, so fine. I get diagnosed and I take my medicine.
Your husband has never seen you, Mike has never known this. It's like this other life you had.
No, it's very strange for him when people, or when I or other people talk about this lady from then, except that he's seen me pretty intense. So I've explained, remember how intense I was about that? Magnify it a little and you'll get the picture. He's seen me about as intense as he needs to see me.
We've just about run out of time. I suppose that the last thing you would like to say is to address a message, and that's, I said, what this book is mainly written for. For those of you who are out there, if you're having some kind of problem, and I'm not sure how to say this, you should say this, to those who are feeling
hopeless, a kind of despair that they don't understand, inability to function, or on the other end, euphoria, out of control spending, promiscuity, anything that somewhere in you, you'll know it's not right and you need to get help. What you really need to know is that the stigma is diminishing. Doesn't mean everybody has to go out in the world and talk about it the way I do, you know. But they need to help themselves, and then of course their family members who've gone through a lot.
There is hope and there is recovery and it does work and there is another side, as written by Patty Duke and Gloria Hockman in A Brilliant Madness. Thank you for joining us. By the way, that lovely picture of Patty.
It's the best time I ever had talking about my mental illness.
To show you a picture.